guys, I hope you can hear okay. I'm just sitting down, so I can't stand on my sore foot. Anyway, I thought I would quickly turn the camera on and show you how I use those ugly or unusable pages in these gardening books. So these are those gardening folders that a lot of us junk journalists like to use because they got pretty flower pictures, you know, like this, that one. So they open out that way. They're quite thick. They're glossy, but they're quite thick. They're like almost like a cardboard. But anyway, I was lucky enough to come across 4 or 5 of these years ago, and I'm still using them. But most of them, they're in sections, and one of the folders has a section that's dealing with like weeds, and another one has composting, and you know, there might be a section on insects or garden problems and pests. So some of the pictures are a little bit ugly, so I think I've used all the composting ones already, but you know, scale insects or laying turf, lawn diseases, lawnmower maintenance, growing a lawn from seed. I mean, I suppose you could use that in a gardening journal if you wanted, but like the picture, it's not that nice, even if you did make a gardening journal. But yeah, there's some that have pictures of slugs and bugs, and I think I've used a lot of the really ugly ones already. But you know, things like this, even if they're not so ugly like that, dealing with lawn thatch, like there's not a lot you do with it. So I mean, it is nice thick paper, so it's a shame to just throw that in the recycle bin. So what I do, I mean, you can glue over, you can use them for collaging or something because they're quite thick. But what I've been using them for is just to make pockets for the centers of my journal signatures. So actually, I'll show you what I mean. This is one of my journals. I think I did a pocket in this one. Sorry, let me just... This was my grungy rustic journal. I did a video on a while back. I'll put the link down below if you haven't seen that. I know, I thought I did. Wait, I'm sure I did. Okay, am I ever prepared? I'm sure I put a center pocket in this one. How many signatures did it have? Oh yeah, there. Okay, this one. So this is actually the center of a signature. So the stitching, you'll see, is down the bottom there. But it looks like a pocket and it's covered in fabric. In fact, I remember this one, I cut the fabric too short, so I had to put some coffee dyed paper along there. Usually I fold the fabric over to hide that inner edge, and I remember I forgot that time. But anyway, that's been the only way that I've been using these so far. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to use them up, but that's what I've been doing, just making little fabric pockets like that. So I'll just show you what I do. It's pretty basic, but I just wanted to give you an idea of how to use these instead of throwing them away, because I know a lot of people might think, what are you going to do with that? It's ugly, and they might bin it. But you can still use it. Okay, let me get rid of that. So they open backwards. Just cut it to size and just cover it in fabric. It's really quite basic. So I've got 2 journals that I'm making at the moment that I'm going to make a few pockets for. I think they're about, actually this one, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, sorry, I was going to do a different style, but I'll stick with the same style because don't go changing it yet. Okay, so this one I'm going to, I never measure. I think it's about 14.5 centimeters. I don't know. I should measure stuff. It looks about there. Okay, cut it to size and basically flip it over and cover it with fabric. Fold the fabric over if you want a neater edge and then stitch around it. So what I've done, you can leave your pocket where the front and back cover is the same height, or what I like to do, the front cover, just make it a little bit shorter. It just makes it easier to get into the pocket. So just a teeny bit, maybe a centimetre. I can't even see if I'm straight from here. That'll do. Okay, see, this will be the front. So when you put something in and out of the pocket, it's just a lot easier if that front sheet is shorter, if you know what I mean. But you can leave them the same width. Anyway, then just cover it in fabric. Let me just make sure this is the right size for my journal. So I've got 2 journals on the go at the moment. They're patchworky type journals. This is all upholstery fabric, front and back. This one, the cover is done. I'm tossing up, maybe putting a scrappy trim down one side because I feel it's a bit too neat for my liking, but I'm not sure yet. I'll decide that later. Anyway, I started putting together some pages for my signatures. There's no theme for this journal, I suppose. It's just kind of blue because I was trying to use up some blue upholstery fabric. I keep saying tapestry, but anyway, so it's kind of blue theme. So what I thought, this journal will have 3 signatures, and I thought I would put one of these fabric covered pockets in the center of the first and last signature, and the center signature I'll just leave the strings visible and dangling a bit and put some charms on the center one only. So I'll make 2 pockets for this one. Just see if it's the right, where's my middle? Here. Okay, and I never measure. If you see me work, I don't like to measure. I just kind of mark things where they're to be cut. If it's a bit short, if it's too short, doesn't matter, you can trim it. I mean, if it's too long, you can trim it. If it's too short, well, you can't make it longer again, but you can live with it. Okay, so let me snip that about there. Whoops. I can't see without leaning forward, and I don't want to put my big head in camera. Okay, get rid of that. that about right? Yep, perfect. Okay, let me get rid of that. Oh, that's one cover. Let me show you the other one. So this is the other one. So patchworky as well. Had some little skippity skips. I think I need a new needle, but I need to go buy some. So there's a few skippies. That's okay. I don't mind. It's a junk journal. That's a vintage button from my grandmother. This one looked way too neat, and that's why I've put this centerpiece on top with some raggedy fabric underneath, because I needed to grunge it up a little bit. I think I'll leave the other one just in case someone wants a neater looking journal, but yeah, this one, it was cut too precise for my liking. I had to grunge it up a little. Okay. So all I do, I've got some fabric here. This is fabric off an old granny dress. I don't remember if it was one of my grandmother's granny dresses, or I think it might have been. If it wasn't, I probably just bought it from an op shop. Had this for a while. I think it might have been my grandma's. I don't know. And then just glue it down. But the side that is shorter, sorry, the side that is longer, you'll have to fold the fabric over to hide the writing underneath. So make sure there's a little bit of extra fabric up the top, if you know what I mean. So this side, you'll fold it over so that you can't see the writing on the inside. Actually, this is a bit too big. I'm going to trim this baby. How much do I want? About there. I won't show you the whole thing because it's pretty basic. Now, for these two journals, I've set myself a little challenge that all of my scraps created from making these two journals, I'm going to use to embellish the journal. So all my scraps like this will go back into the journal, or make some extra embellishments out of them for future journals. So this is my scrap box so far. And I have literally kept every little scrap. Okay, see, these are little bits trimmed off the upholstery fabric. Trimmed papers. Some are itty bitty. Oh my gosh, how am I going to use those? Glue them down. Some are bigger. And I've got little upholstery fabric bits. Little scraps. Some are bigger because I've only used a small piece off a larger piece. But all my scraps are going into here, and I'm going to use all the scraps to make embellishments for this journal or other journals. And I'm going to have nothing left in this box at the end. That way I don't add to my existing scraps. Okay, so just cut it to size and literally just glue this baby down and fold the edges over like that. Let me show you. Where's my glue? I'm sure you don't need to see this. Oh, my glue stick is out. Let's see this one. Oh, that's out as well. Nope, that one's good. Okay. Oops, so slippery. I usually like to use these Bostik ones when I'm putting fabric down on paper because it's really sticky and it sticks it well. But I'm out at the moment. They're quite expensive as well. These purple ones aren't too bad. They're really cheapo, but they dry too quick. They dry so fast. Look, you don't need to glue it down super duper well. Just try and at least get the edges because you're going to sew this. So really you're just trying to tack it down. Just glue that down. This is another piece that I'm using to make another pocket. So I need 2 pieces for each journal. This was from old clothing as well. This was actually a blouse of my grandmother's. Look, it's so crazy psychedelic. When you look at the whole blouse together, it kind of sends you a bit cross-eyed. But it's pretty cool pattern. And this is another one. This wasn't from clothing. This was actually, it was a fairly big bolt of fabric from my grandmother's. It's vintage and I've been using this up for years now. This is the last piece, just this. Don't worry if it's all creased like this because once you glue it down and go like that, it kind of irons itself out. Then I just miter the corners. So if you're not sure how to do that, you just give it a little cut. Do that on all 4 corners and then glue around the edge and just stick that down as well. Once it's stuck down, I won't show you that. You don't need to see me gluing. Once it's stuck down, it'll be kind of like this. Don't worry if those where you've cut it is all uneven. This was a really raggedy piece, you can see, but I still used it. Glue it down. Then when it's dry, just stitch it around the edging. Whoops. Sorry. Why does someone always need me and knock on my door when I'm filming? Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot what I said last. Yeah, just glue it down around the edge. And I've just zigzagged. You can straight stitch, whatever stitch. I've just zigzagged straight around the edge. That way, when you put it into your signature, like this, so when you put it into your signature, that way, you sew your signature as normal with this open. So sew it in like normal. Once it's sewn in, just put some glue along there, close it, and then you've got a pocket. And it looks like it's a sewn pocket, but obviously it's not sewn, it's just glued. But because the stitching there, it looks like it's sewn. And I think fabric pockets in your journals, they're really nice. They lay nice and flat. They just look so pretty and they feel nice. It just adds, it really adds to the journal, I think. And it's a good way to get rid of leftover little scraps like this. Okay. So that's one pocket, and then you can always like embellish the front. You can put some layers of stuff here or little handmade flowers or whatever here. I just leave mine plain because it's right in the center. I don't want to make that center page too heavy, if you know what I mean. I don't want too much pressure. I don't know. I always feel it's the center page. I just don't want to make it too heavy. I don't want it to rip underneath. But anyway, because it's quite thick and it's got a fabric layer, I don't think it'll rip, but there you go. So don't chuck away your ugly pages. out of these gardening books. You can still find a use for them. Another thing I use for centre pockets is things like, oh, I should have had one ready. Oops. Sometimes you get like junk mail. Not this one, but I'll show you an example. I just don't have one. Sometimes you get junk mail and the top cover is quite thick, kind of like a cardboard. I use those as well sometimes. It's a good weight. Anyway, that's it. Sorry if that seems a bit obvious to some, but I just know there will be people out there that have these and probably chucking them away because they're ugly. Also, if that bothers you, when this is glued together, if you open the pocket, you can see that there's something in there. That doesn't bother me. It's a junk journal, and when I make stuff out of junk, I like to be able to see what it was in its prior life, if you know what I mean. So if I make something out of, where's an example? Like food packaging, I like to be able to kind of see that it was food packaging before. I don't know if that makes any sense, but anyway, if this bothers you, here when you cut the end bits, just make them longer. You can glue them right down to the center. That way, when you open your pocket, and don't forget, this will be glued together on the side, so it's not going to open very wide. But if you bring the fabric right down to here, when you do look in the pocket, you won't see this. It doesn't bother me. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.